Who will Donald Trump hit next? With tariffs, sanctions, or a public showdown? Let's break down the most likely targets and why. Trump's foreign policy playbook blends economic pressure, public rhetoric, and executive tools. Tariffs, sanctions, export controls, and diplomatic moves. He often uses big gestures that play to voters and influence markets. So which countries are most at risk? We analyzed past moves, campaign promises, and strategic incentives to pick the top candidates. Number 1. China. Trump's foreign policy turned trade into a weapon, with tariffs, supply chain pressure, and tech restrictions on firms like Huawei. Why again? China is the central political narrative for voters worried about jobs, manufacturing, and national security. Targeting China works as both policy and campaign theater. How he would act? Bigger tariffs, broader restrictions on chip exports, bans on Chinese apps, tighter investment screening, and coordinated pressure with allies on critical supply chains. Signals to watch: new executive orders blocking investments, enlarged blacklist of Chinese firms, or public threats tied to an economic event. Number 2. Iran. Trump withdrew from the Iran nuclear agreements and used sanctions as his main instrument. If he wants a fast, showable, tough-on-security win, he can reimpose or expand sanctions on Iranian entities, tighten shipping inspections, or push regional partners to isolate Tehran. How he would act? Expanded financial sanctions, tougher restrictions on oil exports, or new designations for proxy groups. Military action is less likely without a major provocation, but economic and diplomatic pressure is a near-term tool. Signals to watch: more OFAC listings, public threats after a regional incident, or coordination with Gulf partners. Number 3. Mexico. Historically, migration and trade were Trump's core domestic issues. Border policy, tariffs on trade, or renewed pressure on remittances can be used to show toughness to a domestic audience. How he would act? New tariffs or trade leverages tied to migration cooperation, visa restrictions, or rapid deployment of border measures. He can use public threats to extract concessions quickly. Signals to watch: immediate tweets or speeches about border crossings, trade negotiations tied to migration, or rapid changes to visa and remittance rules. Number 4. NATO allies like Germany are also targets, not because of direct hostility, but because Trump uses pressure on allies as leverage. Nord Stream, defense spending, and trade imbalances are recurring targets. How he'd act? Renewed sanctions on pipeline projects, public attacks on allies in speeches, or diplomatic pressure to increase defense spending. It's rarely military, more economic and reputational leverage. Signals to watch: new sanctions bills, statements attacking ally policies, or sudden demands during international summits. Number 5. Venezuela. Trump previously backed opposition leaders and leveled sanctions on oil exports. If energy markets or regional crises become campaign issues, Venezuela is an easy target for renewed sanctions or diplomatic isolation. How he would act? Tighter oil sanctions, asset freezes, or backing of opposition as leverage. These are low-cost, high-visibility moves. Signals to watch: increased Department of Treasury actions, new designations, or public calls for tougher oil controls. Important: targeting rarely means invasion. For Trump, it usually means policy tools that are fast and visible. Tariffs, sanctions, export controls, travel bans, and public diplomatic pressure. These actions change markets and make headlines, which is often the goal. Want to know if a country is actually becoming a target? Watch these signals: official executive orders, Treasury sanctions notices, commerce export controls, and high-profile public statements. Reputable news outlets and government sites report these in real time. China is the strongest candidate, followed by Iran, Mexico, parts of Europe, and select regional foes like Venezuela. The exact move depends on events and political timing, and whether Trump wants spectacle or durable policy. If you want a follow-up, I can make a deep dive on how tariffs, sanctions, and export controls actually work, and which companies and markets would suffer most. Subscribe for weekly tech and geopolitics documentaries, and tell us in the comments, which country do you think is next?